ton of support at our games, and I appreciate all of you that have come and support us. And I encourage you to come out this weekend, Bailey Memorial at 1 p.m. Versus Morehead State. It has been a exciting year, probably a little more exciting for the other team than us and what we would like. We've had 5 games that have been decided by 10 points or less, and well, actually more than that has been decided, but we've lost 5 games by 10 points or less. So we're right there, closing the gap. Feel really good about our future and our team, and our guys have continued to work hard and love each other, and you know, the way they come to work every day has been really a blessing for our program. We are young still, and I know I said that before, but you know, counting it up, you know, we have 10 guys that we're recognizing this weekend as graduating seniors, and some of them still have eligibility left, but they will be graduating. And we have 102 guys set as of right now returning for us. So I have 102 guys here in the spring, and about 40-some sophomores and 40-some freshmen. So very young and feel great about the future, and appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. Hope to see you Saturday. Thank you.
I do this very quickly. I do not do this enough. I'd like to acknowledge our board of directors. Several of them are here, and this being a final meeting before the banquet. I won't call them all out, but if you stand, if you're present. Mr. Chris Benson serves on our board. Also, Representative Doug Gillum serves on our board. Miss Suzanne Lowry, thank you. Miss Suzanne, get ready to take pictures of the players of the week. We thank you for you doing that, putting that spotlight on. Miss Wendy Medlock, thank you, Wendy. Coach Harold Nichols. Miss Sharon O'Brien, represented today by her good people at PRTC. We couldn't do this without Miss Sharon. Miss Marlene Owens, who represents the chamber here for us as a part of it. David Pitts is here today. Assistant Superintendent 56, thank you, David. Ms. Casey Gordon, said thank you. And Scott Tollison. And Scott, make sure we get all these great Beatles here. You got Buddy Lee here. I mean, you're probably a hero today, Scott. But last but not least, serving on this board is a man who really puts his heart into it, makes it all go. You won't find nobody better in this. I know these touchdown clubs are down out. I think Patrick Coach today, there ain't a lot of them left, but this one keep going, because this man right here gives it everything he's got. And he does it for you. That's what he does. President Gene Simmons. Now it's time for our players of the week. I want to just celebrate the Raiders. Thank y'all for being here. Saints couldn't be with us. The Crusaders, the Red Devils are continuing right along, marching in the playoffs. Because of that, they will be to our players of the week. Farm Bureau Insurance. Chris, will you stand? This is Chris Coleman from Farm Bureau joining me here today. Thank you for being here. It's time to present our last 2 Lawrence County Touchdown Club Players of the Week.
All right, as Buddy mentioned, this week is the last couple, last regular meeting, last couple of Friday nights. Clemson High School was still playing the playoffs, so Kate Crawford, Kate come up, no stranger to the touchdown club. Yes, Kate Crawford. So November 3rd, Friday night, a couple weeks ago, 20 defeated Palmetto by a score of 41-18. As we know, we call him the Swiss Army knife, but he's a linebacker. He had 6 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. Caused a fumble, pressure the quarterback, as we know, all night long. Offensively, Caden scored 3 touchdowns on the night, 1 rushing, 2 receiving, and had over 85 yards of total offense. Coach Fowler states and quotes, Caden Crawford is a hard-working, blue-collar kid who gives everything he has when he's playing on both sides of the ball. Caden is a vocal leader as well as he leads by example. There's not a player on this team that's more competitive than Caden Crawford. Our November 3rd Player of the Week, Caden Crawford. I think Caden, as I mentioned, is not a strength. I think he's a 3-time recipient for our Player of the Week, so congratulations to Caden. Last Friday night, November 10th, our Player of the Week is Aumar Robinson from Clemson High School. Aumar, if you come forward. Aumar got the league lead by a score of 38-7. Aumar is the defensive end. He had 5.5 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 3 quarterback sacks, pressured the quarterback all night long. A couple of official quarterback hurries. Held them to 7 points, seeing the defensive squad after that team came in averaging over 40 points per game. Coach Fountain said about this one, Aumar is the leading Dell defensive player last Friday night. He's mature as a person and a player. He's worked tremendously hard in the weight room and the practice field to become the player and a starter on defense. Listen to this, folks. He spent every day on the scout team for the last 3 years trying to wreak havoc on the starting defense. I'm sure at times, Coach quotes, that he's got frustrated, but he kept coming back to practice each and every day. It's been awesome to see him transition down to a starting rotation. A player for November 10th, Player of the Week, Aumar Robinson, Clemson High School.
So proud of Aumar and Caden. I think Aumar will join me and say that Caden Crawford got more in footballs than the ball boys had up at PhD. He got clutched to them right there. Aumar, we're so proud of both of you, all our all. And also for the Lawrence County Farm Bureau for what they do in doing that for our athletes. This time I'm going to ask Coach Darrell Smith, the regulars, their season concluded, and sent his nominations the other day for the all-county teams. He's still representing his guys, and I know that's what he's going to do today. Coach Darrell Smith.
Yes, I want to thank everybody for having this and all the sponsors, because it is another opportunity for us to recognize our players, and looking forward to the banquet so we can do that also, some of those guys. What I've got today, before I introduce these players, I do have a special guest with us, Miss Amy Collins is our trainer. She's done a great job for the last couple of years, and just it's been a pleasure to have someone that's on campus that knows our players, and not somebody that just comes in every so often and does it. So that's been a real benefit for our program, and just glad and appreciate everything that she has done for us. Some players I brought with me today, brought some 2 juniors and a sophomore, guys that have done a great job in the weight room this week, and we've already started back, and some positive attitudes from the players and everything as we've begun to start even for next year. First, DeMaje Watts. Stand there. He had a good season. As you can tell, he's got good frames, he's got a lot of potential. He played some for us 2 years ago, had a good season this year. We're looking for big things out of him coming back for next year. DeMaje Watts. Renzo Hunter is a transfer, came in this year from Crescent, and has done an outstanding job on the defensive line also. He's going to be back with us for another year, and works hard in the weight rooms, doing all the right things, and looking for good things out of him, Renzo Hunter. Brock Franklin is a sophomore kicker, you know, and going into the season, when you have a guy that hasn't been on the varsity football field, he's always a little nervous about it. But he handled it tremendously well. I mean, he's done a good job under pressure, getting punts off for us, and make some kicks. Longest kick this year, I think, was 43-yard field goal as a sophomore. So we're real excited about his potential and what he can do, and also punting. He's had some boomers over 50 yards with a lot of hang time also. And Brock's also one of our all-region players. Just found that out this week as a sophomore, so really excited about his future and everything he's going to bring to us. Brock Frank.
Also concluding their season are the Lawrence Academy Crusaders. Jolly Doolittle is the speaker on behalf of the Crusaders. Thank you guys for being here and with all you've done for us this year. Here you go, Coach Jolly Doolittle.
Thank you. Thank you again for having us. This is a wonderful environment to recognize these young people, and man, what an awesome thing that you do for our community, just recognizing these guys. Yeah, our season concluded. It's always tough to turn in your equipment. I'm sorry, guys don't have uniforms in. They turn those in at the end of last week. And it happens to everybody, whether or not you win the last game or you lose it. Eventually, all these guys will turn it in one last time. So Obviously, that's very painful for a lot of people. And, the good news for us is we only had 2 seniors. So there is that, you know, they get to get a uniform issued to them next year. So we have all underclassmen at the table today. They represent the very best of us. These are our team captains. We have junior Garrett Murphy. Garrett led us in rushing, receiving, tackles for loss, and sacks this year. Very good football player for us. Next we have Garrison Vaughn. He led us up front, offensive and defensive line. He led our defensive line in tackles. He led us in knockdown pancake blocks up front. Very good player for us. And next we have Nathan Bell, sophomore linebacker. He led us in tackles, tied for tackles and loss, tackles for loss. Also played the other side of the ball, played H and tight end for us, ran the ball a little bit. Very good player for us and a good leader. And then last, Hack Carter. I wish I could give you a statistical category that he led in. And I could probably find one for positional group or something like that. But when I think of Hack Carter, I think about all the intangibles of what makes a good football team becoming tangible. And many years ago, about 20 years ago, an FCA guy, Mr. Andy Hean, gave me a leather-bound FCA coaching Bible. And in the back of that Bible, it has a devotional for every day of the year. And one of those, I forgot the author who wrote the devotional, but it's always stuck in my mind. It was about dog soldiers. And a dog soldier was this group within the Comanche Indians that were specifically picked from their tribe. You've seen them glorified in movies with the headdress and the war paint and all of that. But what they were more than a warrior, certainly they were a warrior armed to the teeth. They were the leaders, the sacrificial, the ones that loved their tribe more than anybody. And these dog soldiers were given leather bracelets to tie around the wrist. It was tied to a spear. They would throw it down on the ground, and it would signify that I'm here to take on anybody that comes after my people. And they would do it in advance of the tribe or in the retreat of the tribe. But they were willing, they were armed to the teeth, they were willing to sacrifice everything to protect their people. And certainly for us, a believer, every time I get a microphone, we talk about Jesus. I'm sorry. Jesus is the ultimate. He took that stake, he threw it down in the ground in the form of a cross, and he was willing to sacrifice everything to save all his people. But that's what good football teams need, dog soldiers. People that are willing to throw down their stake into the ground, willing to sacrifice, willing to protect all their people. And nobody for our team symbolizes a dog soldier better than Hack Carter. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
This morning, been on the phone with Joel Kay, who is the voice of the Belt Hunting Pat Bears. Play-by-play announcer to do that prior to the game, kind of look at the skill set, go over pronunciation stuff. He's a long-time voice of Bears. I think the man's done over 500 games. I'm telling you this is how I introduced Corey family. He said, y'all take it easy on us. I said, all right now, Mr. Kay, all right now. He said, listen, there's 2 things I know about the Clemson Red Devils. That's what he said. He said, they're tough and they will be physical. Right now, this is the leader of the Clemson High School Red Devils, Coach Corey family.
Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you, Gene, and everything you guys do for our Booster Club, for our Touchdown Club. Getting getting everybody organized as one in the county to recognize these young men. I appreciate it. Like LeVon Kirkland said, you know, everybody can take Buddy on the road, man. Everybody would be pumped up. But you do an awesome job. Appreciate everybody that's out here supporting our guys today. Over the past 2 weeks, we played Palmetto, and it was freezing cold. Came out on a slow start and got going in the second half. Then we played Broome, who a lot of people picked to beat us. They had a dynamic duo in their running back and their quarterback, but our guys came out. It was a little rainy that game, and our guys came out, played hard, played with a chip on their shoulder on offense, defense, and special teams. They rose to the occasion. This week's no different. You got to roll it back and turn it up, okay? You get to play again, and I'm blessed to be with these guys. I brought 4 seniors today, but blessed to see another week with these young men. We have an awesome group of young men that I'm blessed to coach. They come ready to work and compete every single day, and we get on them every single day, and they get tired of hearing us every single day, but we keep pushing them to get bigger, faster, stronger, better every day. And I brought 4 awesome ones today. First young man I brought was Keegan Pearman, our kicker. Been consistent since he's been a kicker, since we talked him into you know, not only playing soccer but also playing football, and he's bought into it. And you know, he goes to take lessons, and he's every weekend kicking, probably every day kicking, even when we don't see him. Just does an awesome job, made some field goals for us this year. Competes every week for his job for kicking place kicks and field goals. He's maintained the kickoff job, but him and Kirkendall battle every Wednesday. They have a kickoff to see who's going to kick the PATs and field goals. And Keegan's been the most consistent this year, and he's an invaluable part of our team, and he doesn't get enough recognition. He's made some tackles, and I think it was the conference championship versus Chester. Made some key tackles on kickoffs. Should have kicked it farther to the left, but he does an awesome job for us. Keegan Pearman. Next up, I have Aumar Robinson. He will stand up. Aumar, a senior, defensive lineman. Like I said, you know, there was many years where he was working his tail off, and he was working in the weight room, and he was doing everything we asked him to, but he just couldn't win that spot. We tried it. We tried him at receiver, tried him at linebacker, then we tried to get some running back, we tried to get some tight end, but he's found us home at defensive line. And last game, he just played an awesome, tremendous game. I was excited for him myself, and it was an honor for me to nominate you for a Touchdown Club Player of the Week this past week, because you didn't waver. You could have quit, but he didn't quit. He just kept coming to practice each and every day, making everyone around him better. He was always positive, always with a smile on his face, and I appreciate that more than you ever know. And what a great teammate. He's a senior, and we're going to be missing this year. Hopefully we'll get more weeks with him coming up. We take care of business versus BHP. Aumar Robinson. Zay Johnson, Cincinnati commit, comes ready to work every day, practices hard every day. Did a great job in the secondary for us in the past 2 playoff games. Came up and hit their running back, Broome's running back, several times. Stopped him cold on the sideline, made plays in the secondary, pass breakups. Just comes each and every week, and just an all-around good young man as well. Every kid on our team, I can say that about. They represent their families, they represent their school, and they represent their community with pride, and he's no different. Zay Johnson. Another Touchdown Club Player of the Week. Caden, each and every day, comes ready to work. He stands on business. He stands on business, and he'll let you know that he doesn't like. I think he posted in our little group chat with our seniors today. He sees the articles and the scores that they think is going to score predictions, and he's like, we're going to stand on business. And he's getting the guys ready to go and compete this week versus BHP. We got a tough task. The margin of error is small, and we're trying to get our guys ready and prepared for that game on tomorrow. If you can, come out to BHP and support us on. We appreciate y'all each and every week, or each and every other week, coming out here and supporting us. Thank you.
That's time what we start for. What we do youth. So we got one young man right there that's going to play in the Touchstone Energy North-South All-Star game out in Myrtle Beach. Caden, will you stand? Let's give this young man a hand clap. This young man right here is going to the Shrine Bowl, representing the Red Devils. This is Sage Johnson, we will meet you somewhere, young man. It's coming. Just keep doing what you do, okay? This student man is fixing to come before you. For years on years, this touchdown club, Saturday, 2 days would have been when they played. Probably about maybe 15 years ago, so they started playing 4 games in November. And the Clemson, Carolina game got pushed back to after the Thanksgiving holiday. We stayed on that same register right here at Touchdown Club on the 3rd Thursday. And I'm going to have 2 men introduce each one of them. Coach Strickland right here and Coach Nichols right here. But before we do that, we got a tradition here at the Touchdown Club that I'm going to flip the coin. Had to borrow it off Todd at Fair over. Ain't got no money in my pocket. Thank you, Todd. And whoever wins this coin toss, I have the ability to either go first, or defer, and go second. Now, Clemson, you visit Coach Pearman. So as I flip this coin, we'll let you call it, okay? Here we go. Call it now. Heads. What you want to do, Coach? You're going to defer. Don't come yet. Mr. Strickland?
Take them on the second half.
Come on up here. We got Mr. Billy Strickland, who knows a lot more about Patrick DiMarco than I do. Take care of it right here. Catch you. Mr. Billy Strickland.
Thank you. On behalf of the Strickland family, I have Matt here with me, and Seth is hopefully working hard in Anderson. And Pat keeps up with him as much as I do. But anyway, it is my pleasure to introduce Patrick DiMarco, who, as some of you know, was Seth's, of course, teammate at Carolina. He was also his roommate for about 2.5 years, and a close friend, and he still is a friend. As you know, Pat was a 4-year letterman, 2-year captain, played fullback, tight end, and you look at his size and say, he's not that big. And then, but he was tough and was a leader of the changing of guards with Coach Spurrier and the improvement that was made. He then graduated with a degree in management and from the Darla School of Business, and still resides in Columbia. He's in commercial real estate business. Was on Coach Beamer's staff. He'll tell you all about NILs, what needs to be involved with that, and some other things. He said, commercial business is better than NIL, right? But those are the things that he did. After graduating, he received a free agency, and he played in the NFL for 10 years. Started with the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Falcons, and the Buffalo Bills. During that time, he played in the Pro Bowl. He also played with the Falcons and also in the Super Bowl. So what a great career he has had. And now, as I said, he resides back in Columbia with Kirsten, his wife, and 4 children. That's why he chases them. He's slim. So therefore, but we appreciate Pat, and we welcome him and give him, even the Clemson people, please give him a good Lawrence County welcome.
Well, first of all, thank y'all for allowing me to come here today. Thank you for that nice introduction. I was blessed to play 14 years of football after high school. So what you guys are experiencing now, I can sit back and played in Pro Bowls, played in the Super Bowl, played in an SEC championship game. I've played in a lot of big-time football games, but nothing hits my heart like high school football. Playing ball with the same kids that you grew up with, playing in the neighborhood, playing middle school, Pop Warner ball, all those leagues. I still sit back and reminisce on those days. And actually, I was down in Orlando visiting my parents not too long ago, and met up with some of my buddies, and we went right back to 2006 high school football, talking stories and the weight room and all that stuff. So, long story short, you guys cherish these moments. At some point, your shoulder pads will come off. You'll have to turn your helmet in, your jersey will be gone. For some of y'all, it'll be sooner than later. But you have those stories and those memories and all those experiences to share with each other and the community. And there's so much impact. Like Mr. Strickland said, I have 4 young kids. My son, my oldest is 7, 5, 2, and 1 year old. So life is as busy as they can get. And my 7-year-old still challenges me. He's a huge Bills fan, so I finished up in Buffalo. He's like, Daddy, were you ever as good as Josh Allen? I was like, no, not even close. But at one point, I was the best player in my position, and that's what matters most. You don't have to be the best guy on the field, be the best at what your job is out there. So, yeah, I mean, going into kind of this rivalry, it wasn't much of a rivalry when I was there. But we, coming here from Florida, I was originally raised in Orlando, Florida. I had no idea what I was getting into. Both my parents went to the University of Florida, so it was Florida State, Florida, Georgia, unfortunately Florida, South Carolina wasn't a rivalry then, and it's turned into one now. But I came up here my freshman year, and I was able to play the very first game my freshman year, so I came in and started playing right away, and kind of had spot play here and there, played a lot of special teams as a freshman, and I worked into the starting lineup towards the end of my freshman year, and had no idea what the rivalry was until the week of. Seeing all these media, this and that, and all the hype speeches, and I'm like, wow, we really do hate these guys up at the upstate. So obviously through those 4 years have come to understand the rivalry and have a lot of respect to it. My freshman year, we started out 6-1. I think we were number 6 in the country. Unfortunately lost 5 in a row, ended up 6-6, and lost to these guys to kick us out of the bowl game. And then my sophomore year, we went up to Clemson, and which was 2008, and it was a rainy day. By the way, Memorial Stadium was my favorite place to play. And I go twice, scored 2 touchdowns. Not many fullbacks can say that. So I ended up losing my sophomore year too, and then junior and senior year we were able to turn the tide, and that's when kind of momentum in South Carolina football really changed. And that was the first 2 years of starting with the 5 in a row. That we had, so pretty cool experience. But retired from the NFL in 2020. I had a neck injury that kind of left my right side. Not in good shape, it's better now. But I had to hang up my Athletes jersey, and it was a tough transition. I kind of told myself I was going to take about a year to figure out what exactly it was I wanted to do. I missed a lot of time with my wife and kids while I was playing football, and committed to be the best at my craft, and that required some time away. So figured I would take some time to be home and spend time with the family. And sure enough, about 2 months in, Coach Pearman calls me and he's like, "Hey, I know you're going through a transition phase. You're done playing football. I'd love to get you back here in South Carolina in some way, shape, or form." And at first I kind of put the stiff on it. I'm like, I know what football life is like, all the weeks away, the travel, the snap. So I told him I would let him know. And sure enough, my wife came up to me. She's like, "What do you need to let him know? You need to try this out and see if you like it." Because coaching is something that every single coach that I ever played for told me that I should get into in some way, shape, or form. And during my 2 years at South Carolina, I did love it. But I was more called to be at home chasing around my 4 young kids than chasing around a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds. So that's why I ended up transitioning into the commercial real estate space that I'm in now. But I'm very much still involved in the university and athletic department. Last year I helped out with the NIL stuff. It is a mess, to say the least. It is an incredible opportunity for you young athletes that get to play at the next level to monetize on the opportunity. But it it also is a really big responsibility. There aren't too many 18 to 22, 21-year-old young men that really know what to do with some of this money they're getting. So really, I mean, when you get these opportunities, rely on the people that you trust and you love, and surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and have an idea of what's going on, because they're the ones that you want in your corner to help you sustain what you're getting. Because some of these NIL deals, it's transformative money that is really going to help sustain for years to come. But I'm excited to, I'm going to let these guys over here speak, and hopefully we can open up to Q&A. I am much better at Q&A. I don't like talking to people, I like talking with people. So after Clemson speaks, hopefully you guys have some questions for us, and I'm an open book. I will be as honest, but again, I appreciate y'all having the time to come up here and talk to you guys. To you high school kids, cherish the time. It's years you can't get back, and go Cox.
Okay, great job, Pat, there. Tell you one thing, said short, I watched you play. You about as tough as it comes right there. Played all those years in the NFL. Another man coming up here, I'm going to let Coach Nichols come and introduce you. Cam got on that Clemson staff after he left Clemson High School. The Red Devils served on there, and Coach Pearman had a big part and an influence on Cam. So we thought only fitting today that Coach Harold Nichols introduce Coach Pearman.
Thank you, buddy. Pat, thanks for those words. Appreciate you being here today. It's my honor to be able to introduce to you Coach Danny Pearman. Known Coach Pearman for an awful long time. Coach Pearman is a Clemson grad, was on the 86 and the 87 ACC championship team at Clemson. One unique stat about Coach Pearman's career, 29 seasons in a row, he was a part of a football program that went to a bowl game. All right, so I mean, he's had a really, really good career. Part of 2 national championships with Coach Sweeney. Played for Coach Ford, Danny Ford, the great Coach Ford there at Clemson. And more importantly, all of us parents that here have children. You know, Cameron decided where he wanted to go to school and fell in love with Clemson, fell in love with Coach Sweeney, and I knew he was going to be up there with Coach Pearman. And Coach Pearman poured into my son, did an unbelievable job mentoring him. Married to his wife, Christy. He got 2 boys, Tanner, who actually was a student assistant with Cameron, got to be good buddies with Cam, great young man, and his son, Trent, who's a quarterback on the football team now. So he knows an awful lot about Clemson University. I couldn't think of anybody better to come and represent Clemson University on our Carolina and Clemson Day. Let's give Coach Pearman a big Lawrence County welcome.
Thank you, Coach. On behalf of Coach Sweeney and our entire staff, let me say what an honor it is to be here in this community of Lawrence. There's not enough touchdown clubs still left. And how impressed I am, and I'm sure Patrick would reiterate that people care about football. Because probably nowhere can you see a community come together on a Friday night or a Saturday than right here. Across our state, we need more of them. I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. And you young people that are athletes and high school kids, man, you're very fortunate to be in an area where you have this access or they provide this for you. I know I was born in Self Memorial over here at Greenwood. My dad's from Donald's. My grandparents owned the Pearman Electric store that was forever in Donald's. I have cousins and aunts still over there. Most of them have passed away by now, but being familiar with this area and the people in this area, they're genuine people. They care about people. They care about their community, and they like to see you guys go off and succeed. So I'd encourage you, don't forget where you came from. You know, I mean, you can go off to the big cities or the lights or wherever you want to, but don't forget where you came from. As Coach mentioned, I've been fortunate. I came to school at Clemson during a very successful time. I went off, and I wasn't smart enough to get into the commercial real estate business. I stayed in coaching. But the good Lord blessed me and my family, blessed me with 3 children, a wonderful wife, and and I coached 30-something years. I've coached 8 years at Alabama, 8 years at Virginia Tech. I coached at UNC. I coached at Maryland for Ralph Regent, and I coached, been back 15 years with Coach Sweeney. So we've had some awful good runs and awful good years. And this year, we found out a lot about not only our football team, but our program. You know, Coach Sweeney and our staff, we've been fortunate to build a really good team throughout the years. And this year's team has struggled at points to be standing here. We're 6-4, and everything didn't go your way. But usually when those seasons happen in life, you find out who's with you and who's not. And you also find out who you know, the cream's going to rise to the top. So we've got our hands full this weekend with North Carolina. They bring in a really good football team, an 8-2 football team who have a really good quarterback, they have really good offense, and we look forward to the challenge Saturday at 3:30. You know, the first time meeting Patrick in person, one thing I'll tell you, he's got a lot of accolades. He can, you know, stand up here and say he's done the Super Bowl. He can stand up here and say, you know, he was the best at his position. But let me tell you the best stat I heard. He was a 2-time captain of his team. That's voted on by his teammates. So to me, that says that's a lot bigger honor than anything else this guy's been able to accomplish. His teammates voted him captain twice. He got it as a junior and a senior, even though it wasn't Carolina, but he got it as a junior and a senior at Carolina. So to me, if you're a young guy wanting to model yourself out of somebody, model yourself out of trying to do something like that. Have your teammates vote you in a position where you're the leader, And that to me requires you to be selfless. It requires you to do extra. It requires you to make sacrifices and be different than the normal people. Next, just talk a little bit about some of our players and some of the things we've been able to accomplish this year. You know, we've got quite a few kids on our team. I looked out there last week, for instance, and on our defense, we had 7 freshmen play, and which is good and bad. Number one, it means that the future is bright. So we're excited about some of those. Some of these guys that I just wanted to highlight and mention as we get going on our defense is obviously are led by probably our 2 linebackers, Jeremiah Trotter and Barrett Carter, are probably the anchors. And then inside, the 2 kids are Tyler Davis and Ruka Rotaro. And these kids, they're no different than you guys. You know, they all played high school somewhere. They all had big dreams. But those dreams only matriculate if you work hard. Let me encourage you also to work hard in school, because none of that's possible to be able to advance without an education. And education requires you to make grades that are good enough to get going, right? And there's nothing wrong with reaching out and needing some help for those grades. You know, grades, if you're not up to par in certain subjects, reach out and get help at your schools. Reach out and get help in your community. So just to talk a little bit about some of our kids on offense as well. Obviously our offense led by quarterback Kate Klubnik, who's had a pretty good year for us. Our running backs, Shipley and Phil Moffitt, both have done a good job. And then at wideout, we've got a freshman, Tyler Brown, from right over here at Greenville. So those are the things that we look forward to this Saturday in particular against the University of North Carolina. As it goes forward as a rivalry week, you know, it's kind of unique that y'all have this week instead of next week, but being Thanksgiving, I figured out why it works that way. I know South Carolina has to play Kentucky this weekend, and we have to play North Carolina, but the rivalry between Clemson and South Carolina is year long. It's not just a one-week occasion, but let me also encourage you to understand this. Rivalries don't do anything to make you compete, and competition will make you better. And when you lose to them, you should tip your hat, but when you win to them, you should also tip your hat and tell them you'll see them next year. And that's what makes our state unique and great, is the fact that we got good, healthy competition between 2 schools that don't get along. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure you too, when y'all play, it ain't too healthy there either. But that's part of it. That's what makes it good. That's why you got Chick-fil-A and McDonald's. That's why you got Pepsi and Coke. And that's why you got Carolina and Clemson. So like I said, I'll be glad to answer any questions like Patrick did. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to seeing you. Okay. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to.
Okay, so this time, Coach Pearman, I know some of the players may have to leave for high school, so feel free, and everybody else stay. So we just want to encourage you right here to ask questions to Pat or Coach Pearman.
Everybody's got it.
This guy knows all about the NIL, and this is the man over the transfer portal at Clemson right here. You know what that means, so ask him something.
All right, all right.
Go ahead.
When NILs came out, I thought name, image, and likeness. Every time a kid sells his jersey, he's going to get a share of it. He's going to take away all of these commercials from Hunter Renfrow. And I thought there actually was something tangible. It seems like to me that it doesn't really have any kind of accounting. That I thought that every time you watch Law and Order, the kid getting chased by the cops was a UCLA cornerback. And I've also realized there's not time for an athlete to have things like that. So it seems like to me it's just a pile of money that you distribute out. Tell me what's more complicated than that.
There are several dynamics to it. I mean, there is, and the landscape of it is ever changing. It is, 2.5 years old, so it's still a baby. It's in infancy phase. But I think it was more the NCAA with their mindset of, let's open it up and see what the opportunities now are. Now, did they kind of screw the pooch and leave everything too open-ended? Personally, I think yes. I think there needs to be guardrails and certain things put in place, parameters to earn your NIL and do certain things. And one thing they've always tried to protect is pay for play. So they're trying not to make it the NFL model where it's an incentive-based contract where you score 10 touchdowns, you get an extra $100,000. You play 50% of snaps, you get an extra $50,000. So that's one thing that there's guardrails in that sense. But there are, I think a lot of the places which you'll see is there are the one-off marketing deals. Go to Rick Hendrick Chevrolet, do a commercial, and you get a lease on a car. And that's probably the most easy, basic NIL thing possible because the car is a tangible asset and you get it for only a extended period of time and you get the value of it. Now, the big thing with NIL is, and what you guys need to learn is, if you get $100,000, you don't get $100,000. You got to pay taxes. Nobody escapes Uncle Sam, so you're going to have to pay taxes. So that's why it's so important for these universities to have the educational tools and the support to teach these guys. I mean, we had a freshman come in last year who was promised $100,000, and I tried to explain to him, hey, when you get this money, you're not going to be taxed on it. You're going to get the full whopping $100,000. What are you going to do with it? He's like, well, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a little dune buggy, I want to buy a scooter, I want to do this, do that. I'm like, let's think about buying a used car if you need a car for transportation around campus. But why don't you put $35,000 on probably what you'll have to pay in taxes, which is crazy, right? But that's what you'll have to pay in taxes. Put that into a high-yield savings bond. So you're going to be making 4 or 5% on your money, and it's off to the side. You'll never even have to think about it. And then, if you really want to get into the weeds of it, let's figure out a monthly budget, what you think you're going to need. So these are conversations that eventually need to be had because the $65,000 to take home after taxes that he gets, hopefully he can put aside. I mean, college kids, they get food, they get school, they get apartments, like everything's paid for the most part. So give yourself $200 of monthly living expenses for you to have, and the rest of it's thrown away. If you can have $50,000 at 18 years old, it's only going to compound and just grow and grow. And when you graduate college, $50,000 might be worth 65, 70. And you're like, wow, compound interest is a really cool thing that I need to learn more about. And that'll kind of bring on a new interest. So if that answers your question, it's kind of a mess, and it is, and I think it will be until the guardrails are put in place.
In some places it's like a ticking time bomb because as things get, I mean,
Yeah, well,
there need to be rules and regulations.
When you look at certain universities, you look at like the Georgia and Texas A&M that have limited funding, I mean, it's a whole different ballgame. Clemson, I don't know Clemson situation, I don't know all of South Carolina situations, but the funding is there, but it's not to match what competition is at times. So it's kind of like when you think of the NFL, there's a standard salary cap that every team has. And when you go through the NFL, everything is governed by the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. And the two things that the CBA has that runs everything is salary cap and free agency. What does NIL and NCAA not have any grasp of? Salary cap and free agency. So those are two things that are the wild, wild west that are governed in the NFL and NCAA. It's the wild, wild west. You can transfer whenever you want to, and you can pay whoever you want to X amount of money whenever you want to. So I think until they start bringing that stuff in, and please speak on it too, but
We run into the same issues. If there's only been one benefit from NIL, beside the monetary benefit, obviously, is that kids are having to learn about finances a whole lot younger than obviously I did. When we got out of school, it took me till I was in my mid-20s where I learned what FICA meant. But it didn't take me long to realize, where the taxes were going and how to save money. If it's just one decent thing that's happening, then the other judgment point is, as you all know, there's always a lawsuit out there, and nobody wants to rule on anything or make a ruling on anything to set some parameters. But it's going to get there. It's going to get there. It'll get there probably the next several years.
There are some like really cool things that are happening too within NIL from a philanthropic arm standpoint. But something I always did when I was playing, we always did a Christmas shopping event, we always did a Thanksgiving event. Me and my wife, we hosted it. And started doing that immediately when I got on campus here in South Carolina, and I had to bring the players with me. Well, last year the players branched off of their NIL and started doing something similar themselves. So you see the Spencer Rattlers, the Jalen Nichols, the Harry Joiners, the Juice Wells. They're doing some philanthropic stuff and donating some money and really putting them out there and affecting the community, which has been really cool to see because it's so impactful. We took 60 orphan kids Christmas shopping last year, and I had 75 guys from the Gamecock football team that walked around with these kids and went shopping with them. So really cool. The smile, I saw a lot of smiles on the faces of the kids that were giving the gifts. I saw more smiles on the face of the student athletes that were there supporting those kids. So there is good that's coming from it, but it's just more bringing that to light. Like you wish that would be broadcast in the media instead of the kid in Florida was promised $13 million and didn't have the funding to do it, so he transferred it on somewhere else. Like those are just clicks. The really stuff that needs to be clicked on is to carry on doing or donating X amount of money for every touchdown he scores. Spencer Rattler, going to this homeless shelter, doing this stuff, this and that. So good stuff is coming from NIL too.
Yes, sir.
What was it like to play the Super Bowl?
It was a pinch me moment. I mean, I am one of the opposite. A lot of guys I played with in the NFL, they would sit there and say, say we played at 1 o'clock on Sunday, and and two big time NFL teams were playing Sunday night. And I'm asking the guys like, hey, well, what are you guys doing for the game? You guys want to go to the sports bar, drink cold beers, watch the game, go to my house? Some of the guys are like, nah, man, I don't like watching football. I'm just really good at it. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're so, like, you do this 100 hours a week. So, I mean, for me, it was a pinch me moment. I mean, I grew up watching the Super Bowl every year possible. This would be a funny story, kind of off that. I mean, so playing a Super Bowl, like you're kind of like butterflies and nervous as heck, and the lead up to it. And you're there for an entire week, and there's media opportunities every single day. It's kind of a clown show of the week leading up to it. The players, you're a part of it, so you have to kind of push those distractions to the side, but also focus on make the main thing the main thing. But Sunday came around, and our game was in the Houston Texas Stadium, and I stood on the field. I'm looking around, I'm like, wow, this place is pretty. They really did this thing up. And I put my helmet on, and I'm like, nope, another football game. So kind of that mindset. But when I played in the the Pro Bowl in 2015. It was out in Hawaii. My wife was 37 weeks pregnant with our first, so the doctor didn't let her travel with me. So my parents went with me out there. And the first night they were there, we had a dinner reservation booked, and I come down the elevator, and I meet my mom outside the elevator, and I was like, so hey mom, where's Dad? And she's like, oh, he's been down here for an hour and a half. He's just admiring the elite talent that's walking around here that you're playing with in the Pro Bowl. My dad's like, oh, there's Adrian Peters, there's J.J. Watt, there's so-and-so, and so-and-so, and there's no son.
Yes, ma'am?
What are your thoughts on the transfer portal?
You know, I've got my own personal thoughts. And then I've got the thoughts on the transfer portal. I guess I'm kind of old-fashioned a little bit. I don't have a problem with the kid wanting to transfer so long he's got his degree. Bottom line, get your degree. And once that happens, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. But sometimes when you walk off those practice fields, whether you're in Columbia or Clemson, it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy playing college sports, period, just not football. I mean, any sport, basketball, I mean, being a collegiate athlete today or a student athlete is hard. And there's some hard times and not getting to play for whatever reason. There's good learning experiences, I guess I'm saying. And sometimes we've given kids an out. When it gets tough, you take your bat and ball and go home. And each situation's different too, I understand that. I understand if you're a quarterback, the dynamics of that, or you're a kicker where there's only one guy playing, or you're a fullback and you're not getting used in this particular offense. I'm sure that all that takes some time. Yeah. But I mean, to me, it's every case can be individual, and I can argue both sides. But I also say the bottom line is get your degree. You get your degree, you want to go play somewhere. That's one of the things we've had quite a few kids leave our program. But we're fortunate we haven't had a starter per se leave us. Most of these kids get their degree, they're the junior and he's a backup. He just wants a better opportunity and they go pursue it.
I mean, we've had a different experience at South Carolina because we have reaped the benefit on some of our transfers that come in and put it at a really high level. I mean, that's just from how we've been able to take advantage of the system. And it is different. It takes kind of college football a little bit out of the developmental phase where you get an 18-year-old kid that's supposed to come in redshirt and do the redshirt workouts and grind and earn his way to being the starter as sophomore, junior, senior, whatever it is. But I mean, I think there's good and bad. And it's, I guess the bad part is some of these kids that are transferring are, 18 to 20 years old, you're going off an emotional time, and you're making a life-changing decision off sheer emotions at times. Is there a better opportunity? The grass, and I try to remind our guys, the grass is not always green on the other side. It might look that way, but it might not be. So really, that's another thing, you and Steven Silva would kind of step in, and my theory was kind of have the baseball things there, where if you played 3 years, you need to go to the NFL. If you played 3 years somewhere, you can transfer, kind of like a graduation type thing. But that or makes stipulations that if your head coach leaves, the coach that you committed to, there should be an opportunity to transfer. So the problem is you give an in-state mile, but it's not perfect. And you kind of lose the developmental aspects of college football. But it does let you, if you have a mass exodus, it does allow you to flip your roster over pretty quickly.
I tell you what really is sad is for the high school kid. Because we don't go look, a lot of schools aren't out there even shopping around for a high school kid. You'd much rather sign a 21-year-old than an 18-year-old. A lot of times a coach doesn't have the luxury, he doesn't have time. Time's not his friend. He's just taken over a program. And he walks in the door and he's got to win the day. And so just logically, you'd rather have a 21-year-old versus an 18-year-old that you're going to have to spend 2 years getting him ready to play. That happens a lot.
Personal standpoint here, I was a two-star coming out of high school. If the transfer portal was really a thing, Carolina wouldn't offer me a scholarship.
No. We found a junior that was leaving.
So what's your advice for these young kids that are looking to play, high school students coming out? How do
You know, I think several things. I think the best advice I can give you is I got a son. I just lived that. I got a son that was Gatorade Player of the Year 2 times in this state. He had a handful of scholarships. And you would think, man, Gatorade Player of the Year, they'd be knocking down his door. They were, but most of them were schools that you know, he wasn't necessarily that interested in. And part of that was raised around pretty good programs and saw what it was. But I would just encourage them the best they could to keep their grades up, for one, because without grades, they don't have any options. And then figure out a way to go to school, whether that's you getting in school. And then the other thing I tell you too, there's nothing wrong with walking on in some of these places and plugging in, because there's so much turnover. If you've got potential and you put the work in, a lot of these jobs, I mean, kids walk out the door, and if you're there plugged in and learning and doing the best you can, all of a sudden you find your way out there. That's what.
But you think like Twitter work, I know we post a lot here for the Touchdown Club, we let you all know who players of the week are and all that. Do coaches even look at that?
Oh yeah. I mean coaches follow Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, they look at it. And to be honest with you, also the other thing I tell you is get around to some camps if you can in the summer, whether that's South Carolina, Clemson, or even go to PCs or wherever. Get out and get some exposure. If you can find some time to do that, I think that's important. And then just so many of these kids too, that they when it doesn't go their way or they get disappointed, picking yourself up is part of life, and finding a way to get there is the other part.
Yeah, I mean, kind of controlling what you can control is the biggest thing. You can control your play, you can control your grades, you can control your attitude, you can control your leadership, you can control all these things. And every single one of the college coaches, you're going to talk to your head coach, and if your head coach is speaking highly of you, there's going to be opportunities. Not to mention, like, if you go to, like, Mario Anderson in South Carolina, he was a 3-time All-American in Newberry. You find them. The good schools can find the really good players. So it might not be your home right away at first, but that is the beauty of the transfer portal is the elite schools will come and knock you when the opportunity does arise. But yes, it's, I mean, I will say the social media aspect of it, yes, having a presence is definitely important. Being overbearing is detrimental. Like I would have, when I was on staff, there were kids that would send me messages every day. And I'm like, buddy, if you were desperate and basically trying to give yourself out to me, you're probably not doing it the way. Because if you weren't already on our radar and you're over pushing yourself, then you're probably going against the cause.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
How do you put revenue share with Texas and South Carolina?
Revenue sharing? As in,
What's happening in California right now?
I hope we don't vote that way. What are they doing out there? They're splitting the revenue amongst the schools. You know, in essence, truth be known, probably us in Carolina, we don't split it probably athletically at all, but probably both universities are state schools. So they do, academically, they probably do split some of their
You get that from a conference level, the SEC, ACC, you already kind of get a piece of that where, you know, you look at the Vandy's and the smaller tier SEC schools, you get the same check that the Alabamas and Georgia gets on the SEC level. From the state level, yeah, it's kind of new to me a little bit, but it seems like you kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul a little bit, though, too. I think the private funding stance has worked. You know, I feel like both Carolina and Clemson will probably still playing catch up from some of those top tier schools. But we've also kind of found our home and found our niche. And I mean, I think we're all in a pretty good space.
I think the other thing, I think college football as a whole is in a transition stage. You know, you see teams moving from conference to conference. You see the landscape changing. Well, it's changing because of dollars in TV. You know, whether that's live stream, prime time, who's going to be the college football king in basically the TV world, and that's where you'll see conferences go and you'll see schools go. Yes, sir.
This one's for Patrick as a fullback. You don't really see it a whole lot in college, but in the NFL you're starting to see a lot more teams introduce the fullback back into football, like the Shanahan system. Minnesota plays with the fullback a lot. What did you think about that, seeing the fullback come back to life in a way?
Yeah, I mean, in Dallas, USC, South Carolina kind of hinted on what's taking advantage of what's given you at the college level. You're giving your action a lot further apart. That makes the sideline a lot further this way than it does that way. And in the NFL, actions are pretty tight. You're almost in the middle of the field almost at all times, so there's not really too much field boundary advantages racing the college level. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, why you see it in the NFL, it's a little more situational football than the utmost of the NFL. The average game, I think, is won or lost by like 4 points on average across the whole season. So, like getting in a 4-minute offense and having 2 big tight ends and 2 backs and basically saying they're going to have 10 or 11 in the box and we're going to have to run it and they know we're going to run it. It's kind of that edge. When I played the Super Bowl in 2016, when I was in Atlanta, it was a big question at the media days was like, fullbacks are kind of a dying breed, aren't they? And I was like, yeah, I guess you can say that, but how many teams made the playoffs this year? And I'm like, oh, it was 12 or whatever the number was, 14. And I was like, how many of them carried fullback? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, well, I think it was 1 or 2 of those teams didn't carry fullbacks. So the reason why those teams are having success and why they made the playoffs and other teams didn't. So, I mean, I was kind of giving myself a shout out, but
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, guys.